microdose, yeah, microdose, 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 dose, microdose, microdose, dose, microdose, microdose, dose.
5, 4, 3. What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, coming to you with the newest edition of the Microdose. Crazy times ahead of us. If you've just been to the multiverse of madness, you either loved it or you hated it. It seems to be counter opinions. We were just talking off the air about our experiences with it, but let me delay no further. The funniest man in the room returns, Drew Angelman. Welcome back to the show. Box Office Party is where everybody can find you. How are you doing, player? What's good?
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me back, and I'm doing good. I'm doing well. Yeah, I just got done watching Doctor Strange 2, and yeah, other than that, I'm doing good.
Good, man. What was your overall opinion on the Doctor?
I think it's fine. I'm so happy that Sam Raimi is back in the movie theaters. I love Sam Raimi. I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, and I go into the movie. So mild spoiler alert, I go into the movie knowing it's directed by Sam Raimi, and I'm like, there better be a daggone cameo from Bruce Campbell, and I'll be happy. And you know what? It delivers. It delivers a good cameo for Bruce Campbell. It has his style, at least in the movie, where I feel like the MCU luckily has like lifted their fingers a little bit on the formula. Like it still tracks with the same formula, but they let the directors have a little bit more say in their own style and personalities in these films, which is great because that's what Sam Raimi does best, is bring his own flair. And I really appreciate it. I appreciated that, but man, the plot of the movie is so convoluted in some ways. I am sitting there going like, I go into the movie, so sorry for hijacking this, but I go into the movie in my brain with some superhero fatigue. We've had so much superhero content, especially with the MCU, and I just you're taking all of this in, and at a certain point, I'm like, I'm kind of like gonna wave the white flag here. I don't know if I'm gonna be sitting through and saying, okay, for the next 10 to 15 years, I'm going to make it an appointment to watch every single TV show, because now those are being funneled into the movies, and the movies are being funneled into TV shows and all the little other projects that they're doing. So I loved Spider-Man. I've had mixed feelings on the other movies that came in post-lockdown and even before the lockdown. And all the shows have been really hit or miss. I either love them or I hate them. Moon Knight was not my favorite at all. And so going into this movie, I'm like, this one has to really do something different to make me lock in for the rest of whatever phases that they're going to do. Or I'm going to start picking and choosing movies. And at a certain point, if I can't follow them, then I'm kind of just like, whatever. Then I'll just catch it when I catch it. Whenever it hits Disney Plus, I'll watch them. But I'm not going to make it a thing. And to me, it just did not deliver for me personally. I just felt like it is what it is. It sets up a lot. It's trying to set up a lot. And I don't know if I'm in for it. So I feel like it was just very convoluted, complex. The acting was good. I love Sam Raimi putting his spin on it. But as the MCU in general, I just felt like it was subpar for what quality or content it could be. And I don't know where they're going with it. And I don't know if I'm going to want to be along for the ride. I'm looking forward to Thor, but other than that, I don't know what else I'm really looking forward to in MCU as a franchise at the moment.
That's fair, because this is the 28th Marvel Cinematic Universe film. It's superhero fatigue is a common phrase, especially the last 5 or 6 years. But the deeper we get into this, I totally get what you're saying. All of the Disney Plus series, whether they're Marvel or Star Wars, I have found super underwhelming. They all got an interesting twist. They've all got an interesting concept. But then I was trying to talk to somebody about this with like the Netflix series. When we had the Marvel Netflix series, we were happy that we weren't just getting 20 episodes of this. It was like, oh my God, there's only so much violence I can handle and all this stuff. But then they would stretch those 10 episodes out so long. We're like, I would have rather this been 7 episodes. I would have rather this been 6 episodes. And then Disney Plus we'll make these all 6 episodes, but there's still so many filler episodes. You're like, oh, now we only have 6 of these. We have to finish these now. Having said all that, like, I was able to follow the story. I don't think you need to see WandaVision to figure out what's going on in Doctor Strange. However, I feel like had I not already seen it, I would have liked to have gone back and watched it just to like, what happened in this town? What's going on with the kids? Where's Vision? And that's, yeah, I was still probably been ultimately disappointed and probably even a little confused leaving WandaVision if I had seen Doctor Strange first.
Yes. And I almost alluded to something that we were talking right before hitting the record button, but I was listening to a spoiler-free review from a different YouTube group, and they were talking about how they like that everything funnels into each other. And then somebody in the comments, I didn't even think about this, but somebody in the comments was like, I don't get Disney Plus in my country. So I'm not being able to watch all these different content and shows unless you do it illegally or some other way. And they're frustrated because I think that if you haven't seen WandaVision, it can be a little confusing right at first, but you can, like you said, you'll pick it up pretty quickly. But it's back in the day, I think before Infinity War and everything, Marvel tried to do this whole Shield, Agents of Shield shows on ABC or whatever. They tried to like throw stuff in there, but it was kind of like bonus content. You didn't need to sit there and watch all of Agents of Shield on every Thursday night at 8 p.m. because it was just extra bonus content. If you're going to sit down and watch this, you'll get these extra little snippets that are going to be shown in the movies, and you can take it or leave it. But now it's like everything has to meld with each other, and I think it was inevitable. And I don't think I want to sit here and have to watch Captain and Winter Soldier seasons 1 through 4 to understand what's going on in Black Panther 3, or I don't want to have to sit there and watch Hawkeye 1 through 3 to understand what's happening in Thor 26 whenever that happens. I think it's just overwhelming to sit there and be like, we're gonna have to. Well, it's inevitable. We have to put all these things into one, and then we're getting to the point. And again, sorry for the rambling, but we're getting to the point in Marvel where it's such a juggernaut in how much money it makes. And they have so many comic book characters, but let's just be real. Not all comic book characters are good. Like not all of the catalog is good, but we're getting to that point where we're kind of like uprooting from the reality I felt like we had with Iron Man. Like there is some suspension of disbelief when you go back and watch like Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor, but at least there was some grounding there. Yes, Thor was about gods, but they weren't like, I don't know, they just didn't feel like overpowered. Now we're getting to the point where it's like Eternals, where there's this giant red dude that is over everything of the universe and creating monsters to then make these eternal godly people. And then in Moon Knight, there's Egyptian gods also there. And I'm just sitting there watching this going like, how is Ant-Man going to do anything against these people? Like at the end of the day, it's going to be Captain Marvel, Dewey Ex Machina, and having to just destroy all these people. Like it just makes a lot of these superheroes moot to a certain point, and it really makes it seem very complex. And I'm like, where is Khonshu going to be factoring into this in like Avengers 4 or Avengers 5? And will Spider-Man do anything or be able to do anything? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me as we're moving forward. And I have no idea where the trajectory is. At least from early on, we knew that it was going towards Thanos and Infinity War. I have no idea where they're going. And I personally, at this point, don't know if I care enough to sit down and watch as many movies as I've had so far with them. And not liking Doctor Strange and being so going back and forth between all their content that they've been putting out lately. I think I'm just going to pick and choose. And if I don't get it, then I don't get it.
I think that's fair. And I think that's good for your health.
And my wallet.
And your wallet, especially. So you brought up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is one of my favorite failed Marvel experiments. And what I mean by that is like, this is going to be the TV show. Sometimes you'll get some Nick Fury. Sometimes you'll get some Colby Smulders. It's all supposed to be still part of this Avengers Marvel cinematic universe. And then one night, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. broadcast, and they left with a cliffhanger. You're like, I can't wait for next week's episode. But then you went to go see Captain America, the Winter Soldier. And then the very next day on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., everything is upside down. And if you happen to miss the Winter Soldier that week, and you managed to miss all the spoilers. You're like, what happened? What did I miss? Like, big shit just like, Shield's gone. Hydra took over. What happened?
Wow.
Yeah. They played it that close to it. They just figured like everybody that's watching the show is going to go see the movie, but you know, people have lives, or people can't afford $12 times 4. You know, like
Yeah,
people don't like crowds, etc., etc., etc. So some folks just tuned into Agents of Shield like they would have any other week. I'm like, what the fuck, man? What show?
I never knew that. I never watched it. My uncle did, and he only like during when we would like leave the theaters because we would go see these movies together. He'd be like, "Oh, I knew this was coming in because they did this on Shield," but it was always like a ship, nothing super big. But hearing that they kind of like turned their whole show upside down because of a movie that came out like right after it came out is like, that's crazy. It's not even like on Disney Plus. It's like crazy.
They still had 6 episodes to like fill the season. It wasn't like a season finale. It was just like, oh, where is this going for the next month? You know, and I would only tune into the Agents of Shield like before the big movie. So like we got Age of Ultron next week, and sure enough, you know, Greg Clark was like, all right, we found the staff. Assemble the Avengers, and then it's just title card. And then next week it was a different episode. It was just this. They tried. They tried.
That is madness. That is madness right there.
Yeah, and not a multiverse of madness. How are you about spoilers or just propaganda? Going back to the superhero fatigue example, like I saw the trailer for Doctor Strange. I went, all right, that looks pretty great. Sam Raimi, I'm in. Got my ticket. I was like, I'm sold. I already have my day and date. I don't need to see anything else. Like, I don't care about your speculation, but I'll tolerate it in the background. But like, when it came to this final week, I was, you know, didn't look at anything on Twitter. If I even saw like anything that said Doctor and or Strange in the same, I just scrolled up past it. But there was then some stuff that was avoidable. I would later find out it was thankfully just a misleading headline or just someone being funny. But like, I tried to log out of Facebook, that stupid news tile pops up, and for whatever news with a Z that's strapped to my account, I see John Stamos talks about being the new Iron Man. I went, oh no! I threw my phone away. I was like, it's John Stamos, and fucking like that would have been great, FYI, but he was not, thankfully.
Yeah, no, I try to avoid spoilers and trailers to movies that I definitely am going to go see. Like if I know I'm going to go see a movie, I want to like bar from ever seeing anything from it. Back in the day in college, I remember when A Million Ways to Die in the West was coming out, and me and my friend watched every trailer that they put out. It was like 36 different trailers, it felt like, because everything had something new or a new joke. And we were like, if they have this many jokes to put in the trailers, this movie's got to be so funny. We go to the movies, opening night, Thursday premiere, and all the jokes were in the trailers. And we didn't laugh a single time in that movie because we already laughed at all the jokes that were in the trailers because that was all the jokes that were in the movie. So from then on, I was like, never. If I see like that Nope movie from Jordan Peele that's coming out, I am going to see that 100%. I don't want to see anything. I don't even want to watch that trailer multiple times because I know I'll pick stuff up from it, and I just want to be completely surprised. Other movies, I could not care less about spoilers. Like this Doctor Strange of Madness, I would like to go in with no spoilers, but it's not one of those movies where I'm like dying to see it, and I know I'm going to get hit with something. I like it's just it's bound to happen with the MCU and everybody's theories, and somebody's bound to be right or something. So. Most of the time, spoilers don't deter me away, especially to movies that I'm going to want to see. But if it's a movie like Nope or anything, I don't want to know twists. I don't want to know themes. I don't want to even know characters. I want to just go in completely blind. And I think I want to experience the movie in that instance. And gosh, man, I keep on seeing that trailer and I'm so excited for it. So excited for it.
It gets to the point where, like, again, you know, just like you, like, I've already committed. I want to see Nope or Fast and the Furious or whatever it is, you know. It gets to the point where, like, just going to cover my eyes like this, or because it is a trailer and I'm usually sitting on the end, I will just, like, start just fucking around on Facebook on my phone. But, you know, like, I'm not going to disturb anybody to the left of me, you know, or at least I'm hoping I'm not. But trailers is trailers. One thing I also hate is, again, we're sitting in the auditorium for Doctor Strange 2. And while I love my Maria Menounos, I love seeing her 2 stories tall in that red jumpsuit. When they're showing behind the scenes stuff of the movie I'm about to see in 15 minutes, it's like, come on,
yeah.
guys. Like, we're so close here. Like, I'm here. You already got my money. I'm here. I'm watching the screen now. You don't have to sell me on this anymore. We're here. I think we've had enough fun talking about the Doctor Strange. Would you recommend it to anybody? We went spoiler free, I think, as best as we could. But
yeah, I would recommend going to see Doctor Strange. If you've put as much time and effort into watching the MCU, I would say give it a shot. It's going to be the biggest movie. If you like Spider-Man No Way Home, it's like a direct continuation of everything that was going on there. The same thing with Loki. I mean, they really seem to be delving into the multiverse, and it may not be your bag, but if you put so much time and effort this far, why not go see it? Especially since there's not going to be any big movies coming next week or even the week after too much.
Yeah.
So it does give you some cushion to go see it and check it out on your own time.
like you said, we got nothing coming out next week. We got the remake of Firestarter.
Yeah.
The first Firestarter wasn't really great. So when it comes to like the whole, should we remake movies? This is the perfect movie to remake, but I don't think anyone gives a shit still.
It's got Zac Efron as a dad in it. Like, that's the most excited I am for it, to see Zac Efron change into like the fatherly type now.
You're a man now, mijo. I think I said this on another podcast. That first Firestarter was scary because, oh my God, 4-year-old Drew Barrymore is setting people on fire with her mind. That's terrifying. Sure. But now we have had movies are so differently drastic now that we've seen a child set things on fire with her mind before, and now she could just be in the X-Men. In fact, they're starting to do a trend now in the trailers. I don't know if you picked this up with the Elvis trailer too, where they're like, she could be the first superhero. Like, fuck you. No. Firestarter doesn't have to be a superhero. Elvis Presley is not a superhero. Like, it's just, stop using that term. It's okay.
It reminds me of a lot of Brightburn that came out not too long ago. I think a year or two ago, with where it took the concept of what if Superman was evil kind of thing. Like, what if as a kid he was troubled rather than always a goody two shoes. And when watching the Firestarter, before knowing that it was a reboot, I instantly was like, so this is kind of like trying to bank off of whatever little money Brightburn made, but they're going to have a little bit more maybe power to it, because I think Brightburn was more of an indie film. I don't think
it's a James Gunn movie technically. Much.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, nuts to Firestarter. Let's dive into the real meat and potatoes here. Top Gun 2. You excited about this? Is this movie 30 years too late? What are you feeling?
I have mixed feelings about this movie. I love Top Gun 1. I mean, who doesn't at this point? But the thing is like, when talking about sequels and reboots, I'm like, why do we need this? Even though I love Top Gun 1 and I kind of like the ideas and themes that they're kind of going towards in this new one. And then in Doctor Strange 2, they showed like the whole like flying around scene where they're like practicing with the jets in the air and they're trying to shoot down Maverick, but Maverick is shooting down everybody else. And it was a really fun scene, actually. And I was like, this is fun. I wish you didn't show me this, because I was going to go see the movie anyways, and this would have been a fun to experience with the context of the whole film. But yeah, I'm excited to go see it. It's definitely on my list next to Men, the A24 film by Alex Garland. So I'm looking forward to those two films for the rest of this month, and those two movies pretty much alone in this month.
What's Men?
It's an A24 like art house horror film done by Alex Garland. I think he wrote and directed this movie. He's the guy that did Annihilation and
cool.
Ex Machina.
Sure.
And I get goosebumps every time I see the trailer for Men. It comes out May 20th. And I love A24. They can do no wrong in my eyes for the most part. And I love Alex Garland. So I am looking forward to that movie.
All right, man. Let's dip into June here. We got looks like a pretty packed month.
Kind of like what I did with Doctor Strange tickets. I love having AMC A-list because they'll just tell you like, hey, tickets are on sale. You should maybe at least reserve a date. And so about a month ago, before today going to see Doctor Strange, I reserved tickets in April for Doctor Strange. And luckily I was able to make the screening today. So I kind of did the same thing with Jurassic World. It's one of those movies where you have to go see it. And I've got my tickets. I'm going to go see it. I don't like any other Jurassic Park movie except for the first one. All of them have been terrible, especially these World Trilogy movies. I don't like the first one. I can't stand the second one, but this is like the ending to, they keep on saying it's the ending of the Jurassic era. So the one thing that's really driving home for me is that, one, they say it's the end, and two, they have some of the original cast in there. So I'm looking forward to seeing at least the original cast and how they interact with this new world. But I could not care less about Jurassic World, and I'm kind of going in there knowing that it's going to probably be a barn fire, and it'll be fun to start picking apart Jurassic World.
The last movie was so goddamn ridiculous that, like, I was that obnoxious guy, the dude in Cape Fear, just smoking a cigar, going, like, there was a father and daughter team sitting in front of me, just they're having a great time, a little family movie. But yeah, I was definitely irritating them that day, and well, sorry but not sorry. Jurassic World, do you think it'll do as good as Jurassic World 1?
I think it will make a lot of money.
Okay.
I think it will make a lot of money for the same reason that Spider-Man No Way Home made a lot of money, and it's because of that nostalgia factor with the other Spider-Men that came in. I think saying in the trailer that this is the end of the Jurassic era, no matter how much money this makes, how little or how big of a money it makes, they're going to keep making more of these movies. It's just, what is it going to look like going forward from here? So saying it's the end of something in these Jurassic World or Jurassic Park movies is big, and then having the original cast in there. So I think that's where it's going to be like, oh, we got to go watch this movie. Like, we have to go watch it now, kind of thing. And I think the last two did really great. Like, I think, of course, Jurassic World broke records. Jurassic World 2 did not do as well, but it still made a lot of money. I just think them positioning this as the end of something and then having the old cast is going to be huge. I think it's definitely going to be huge. Yeah. I'm looking more forward in June. I'm looking more forward to Lightyear. I'm not a huge fan into animation or kids movies, but something about Lightyear looks fun to me, and getting to see a different trailer in Doctor Strange 2 today just solidified that it's the movie I'm looking forward to the most in June.
Oh, wow. All right, man. Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of the Lightyear. I don't know why people are confused. Like, well, is this in the Toy Story universe? No. Just the toy from Toy Story. This is his movie. That's it. You're not gonna. The stupidest thing they could do is put a Sheriff Woody in there. Like, oh, I'm Sheriff Woodrow.
Oh, yeah.
Buzz Lightyear. Nice to meet you. That could be the dumbest thing they do. But yeah, Lightyear, I think Lightyear is gonna steal a lot of hearts. I think it's gonna be a crowd pleaser. I think it's one of those things that's probably gonna push $1 billion this year.
Yeah, so Forbes, some guy at Forbes wrote an article about what the summer movies can make in total, and he said that for Lightyear, he had it for 140 million in its total gross. What? And me and everybody at the box office party were like confused by that, because Toy Story 4 made 120 mil in its opening weekend. So there's no way that out of all these movies, Lightyear will only make 140 mil, especially with how we were talking before Sonic 2 and The Bad Guys came out. There was a huge drought in kids movies and family movies, and it looks like it's going to be the same thing. Besides Doctor Strange 2, which isn't as kid friendly as some of the other MCU movies, there's not a ton of just kid friendly and family friendly movies. And I think Lightyear is going to hit all quadrants, and it looks good enough to where me, a 29-year-old man who does not have kids of his own, is going, I kind of want to see this movie. It kind of looks fun. It kind of looks exciting, and it doesn't look super kiddish, but it doesn't look too adultish, and it just looks like a fun movie. And so I think it's gonna do awesome.
I gotta say, I'm pretty stoked for the Elvis film. I have no connection to Elvis. I know maybe 2 songs entirely in out of his back end catalog, but what they got going on with this, I feel like I think it's going to be better than Bohemian Rhapsody, but I could be just taking a shot in the dark on that one.
Yeah. The one thing is I don't know too much about Elvis either. Like my uncle loved him, and he used to watch his movies while watching me during the summer. And so I only know like a handful of movies and stuff, but I would like to know like how close accuracy this movie is and how deep it can go. Cause I think Elvis was deeply troubled. And I want to know like how far this pushes the line. I don't think they pushed the line at all very far with Bohemian Rhapsody. I think they did a better job with Rocket Man. But I think that with Elvis, I want to see how far they go. If this gets like a PG-13 rating, which I feel like that's what they want to go for, it's going to be dealt with very kitty gloves. But yeah, I think it would be interesting. It'll have a great soundtrack.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get too dark with the Elvis mythology. Like, he has one of the worst deaths a public figure could possibly ever have, where he just died on the toilet. Like that's all you need to imagine. So I doubt we're ever going to get that shot. So anyway, let's tiptoe into July here. We talked a lot about superhero fatigue, so we know Thor: Love and Thunder. By the way, when I try and get Alexa behind me to like look up Thor 4 trailers, it just goes 4. Okay. Like, no, Thor 4. Thor 4. Bitch, Thor 4. Anyway, I think Thor 4 will do the best in July, but I think Bullet Train will probably be the better of all the July releases, maybe even the summer films.
Yeah, I think July is jamming. I mean, just looking at the movies that are coming out, I think this is jamming. Thor: Love and Thunder, like I was saying with superhero fatigue, but after Thor Ragnarok, they've been hitting on another level. Guardians is also in this movie for however long. I don't care. They are in this movie, and it's a good time. They have a good vibe with each other. So I'm looking forward to Thor. I love Taika Waititi. So I think no matter what, I'm going to be enjoying that movie.
Do we think we're going to get a significant part of Natalie Portman Thor, or is she just going to be like, oh, just a Doctor Strange cameo? Like, oh, here she is, but now Thor's got to go off to the next universe or whatever he's doing.
It's hard to pinpoint like the timeline of the movie from the trailers, but I feel like I know exactly where they're trying to go for, where they have him getting back in shape. Once he's back into shape, he's going to be running around with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I think in the first 20 minutes, they're going to split paths. So within the first 20 minutes, he's going to say, I'm done being a superhero. You be on your way. We're going to get a lot of like the politics of the new Asgard with Valkyrie, who has taken over, who seems to be bored of her new position. And then we're going to get, I think during his partying scenes, we'll get Natalie Portman, and maybe that'll be around the halfway point. And maybe that will jump to the inciting incident where she's like, I need you to help. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not a superhero anymore. And then he learns to become a superhero. Valkyrie maybe comes out from being behind the desk and starts to jump into the fight and goes, I don't want to be a politician anymore. Or she'll be like, I want to be acting as somebody who is fighting as well as doing paperwork or something. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint, but I feel like that's the kind of vibe and bob that the movie can go towards, where Thor gets reignited with becoming a superhero because Natalie Portman is a superhero or wanting to be a superhero.
You think Tessa Thompson is going to be the villain in this? Like, is Valkyrie going to have a heel turn, as the wrestling kids call it?
That's interesting. I didn't even think of that. I don't even know what or who could be the villain of this movie. I mentioned at the top of the show that I have no idea where MCU is going. And I'll be honest, I didn't see the villain of Doctor Strange being the villain of Doctor Strange. I did not see that coming. So I don't know who could be. Maybe that could be a good guess.
Interesting. Well, we'll just have to check it out.
Bullet Train is the movie that I did not think that I would be excited for. Seeing what it was, I was like, whatever. But the more times I see that trailer, the more excited I get for the movie. And I'm not seeing different trailers. I'm seeing the same trailer, and it just gets me more and more hyped. I'm like, this looks fun. This looks exciting. I don't know exactly what's going on, and I love it. Like every time I watch that trailer, I'm like, I don't exactly know what's going on. And that's the best part of it, because I want to go see this and I want to go enjoy it.
I think Bullet Train is going to be on the same level of something like Smoking Aces. You know, like it's got a lot of big names in it, but it's still indie enough and it's different. And I mean, a bunch of assassins or a bunch of hitmen, a bunch of criminals all trying to go after the same MacGuffin. Like it's usually a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of bright colors, fun soundtrack, assuming we get anything like what we've been getting from the trailer. I think Bullet Train is going to be the best reviewed, but I think it's not going to do well, but I think it's going to be the best movie of the summer.
Yeah, I think it could be a sleeper. I think that's a good way to put it. I think it's one of those movies that moved from early July to late July because of Thor and everything that's moving around. And I think it's just trying to find its spot. And I think it will find an audience. I just don't know if it's going to be finding as much money as it could possibly be making. I feel like if the studio had a little bit more faith in it, they would maybe change it around and maybe delay it. But I think they want to hit in the summer. They know that they want the summer, and I know that they believe in their cast. I just think that with everything surrounding it, it could get lost in the shuffle a little bit because July is jam-packed. Yeah. And of course, I already talked about Nope, and I think that's going to do quite a bit of money as well. I think it could do as much as Us did, which was like 175 million in its total run. And that trailer looks incredible as well. I think those are going to be for sure the top three. Maybe DC League of Super Pets could do well, and also Minions. Yeah. Who cares about Minions though? I really don't think Minions will do well, but everybody, the other two guys at Box Office Party says that movie's going to do fantastic. At least I think it could do well overseas. I just don't think people care about Minions or Gru anymore. Like, who cares?
So the Minions are like the most perfectly sculpted children's propaganda machine that Disney's never created. Okay, they look weird enough, but they're still cute. You can kind of understand them, but they don't speak English. They're just, you know, like lots of pratfalls and running into the walls. And one guy wears a helmet with the ooga. Like it's just a lot of nonsensical comedy that all 4-year-olds just eat up. Like they're always making 4-year-olds.
You killed it with that description, because I could never pinpoint what they are, but that is amazing the way you describe them.
August seems like it's so far away, and it feels like we don't even have really any promotional stuff from it. So the only thing in August that caught my attention that I could look anything up on, even August 26th, new Sylvester Stallone picture called Samaritan, where he plays, I don't know if he plays it, but it's about a superhero who has fallen out of favor with the public, has gone into hiding, and is just trying to be a regular ass Joe. Gets called in for one more thing. Basically, it's Hancock, but with Sylvester Stallone, is what I'm guessing based on the description.
It sounds like a Liam Neeson type role, but Liam Neeson was too busy doing Blacklight and then Memory, and so they got Sylvester Stallone to be in it, which I'd much rather watch Sylvester Stallone than Liam Neeson at this point. In any case,
just to sidetrack, do you think Liam Neeson's going through the same thing Bruce Willis finally revealed was going through?
I don't know, but they're going through the same like trajectory of movie paths. Like these two guys who were legends of their craft, who have a prolific career, and then all of a sudden just decide to just take any and all acting gigs, whether it is good for them or not. They just want to act. They want to get a paycheck. And you know what? I can't fault either one of them for doing that in their career. But just watching a lot of the movies that Liam Neeson has done lately, and I'm just like, really? What is the pay for those movies? Because it's gotta be good enough to put yourself through that for however many months, and then pop out a movie that only makes 3.1 million and then is going to make 1 million the next week and then be completely obliterated the following 2 weeks and not even be out anymore. So I don't know. I'm intrigued at what the thought process is for that. But yeah,
So like,
I don't know.
I know Nick Cage was going through tax problems, and tax problems that were so huge that shit took a decade to finally clear. But I believe he was just working on a sliding scale. And while most of those movies weren't good, he was never the worst thing in them. Bruce Willis, me and a friend were actually talking about Bruce Willis's career. We're like, G.I. Joe 2? Why would he fucking, this man was in Die Hard. Like, why would he do G.I. Joe 2? And then, you know, like he's getting $1 million a day. He got kicked out of the Expendables 3 movie because someone's just like, yeah, I'm not paying you $1 million just to come in and say Expendables, assemble. No, that's widely reported that Bruce Willis was making $1 million a day on the set for any movie. So a lot of these red box films, you know, he gets $3 million. He's on set for 3 days. They film all of his stuff and then film everything else around him. So now that it has been revealed that Bruce Willis actually like has a physical condition or a mental condition that, you know, forced him to retire, and he was just like, I need to save up this nest egg for my kids. Thank God it wasn't like gambling or drugs, because I was like, I think he might have a gambling problem. You know, like maybe he just owes a bookie some money, man. You know, now it makes me wonder what's going on with Liam Neeson.
Yeah, the only good thing, and you talked about Nicolas Cage. He did go through a lot of problems at one point and took some roles to help get him out of those problems. But there was a point in the zeitgeist for him and in the stratosphere where he like launched into stardom to where he can go through decades and be recognizable because of his roles he took in a lot of the movies. There's 1,000 memes of him. So he's like internet famous. So he can have this cult following to where he can do a movie like the massive talent of Unbearable Weight. And it could do some decent amount of money, and it can get great reviews and find an audience. But that's not everybody. So it's difficult if you start going down that path. If you don't hit in the right area or the right way, it's kind of like Keanu Reeves as well. I mean, he goes back and forth taking the big roles and then taking some smaller roles, some indie roles, but he's such a good guy, and the internet just sweeped him up and was like, we're going to keep you into stardom and we're going to preserve you in everything that we can do. And I think it doesn't happen to everybody. So, I mean, it does get to that point where you do ask, like, what's going on here? Like, is he just wanting to grab as much money? Is he trying to stay busy? Is he just not? There has to be something else to this process of somebody of his caliber just taking any and all roles. I mean, what is going on here?
Whatever's going on with Liam Neeson, I hope he fucking corrects that shit, because again, he's a massive talent. But yeah, something's rotten in Denmark. Is that the phrase? Did I just botch some Hamlet? You got anything you're excited about in August? We just talked about Samaritan.
I'll be honest. I'm looking at this website called firstshowing.net where I go to get like a lot of movie news, and like whenever something changes over or goes to like from Hulu or Netflix or anything. And I'm looking at all these movies. One, I don't know any of these movies. I've never even heard of any of these movies. And I worry that what is being put out there in August is going to get swapped out, completely removed to be sent to a streaming service, or maybe something later in the year will be swapped up to August because there's nothing here. This is the prime spot. I mean, it is a dumping ground. So not everybody wants to go to August, but it's still in the summer, and it's better than being next to like Thor or being close to an Avatar 2, if that's ever going to come out, or anything like that. So if you're in a spot where you're kind of getting bombarded, I could see something moving up to August. But right now, August is a dumping ground, and I don't know anything. So I'm not really looking forward to anything in August. But
that's fair.
Like I said, anything can move. We've had so many movies change spots this year. It's nuts. So I'm keeping my eye out in August for anything that changes over. But yeah, we'll see.
I mean, the last 2 to 3 years has always been about moving it down the line, like Top Gun 2. Top Gun is now committed to coming out in 3 weeks, but there was a time where that thing was supposed to come out Christmas before the pandemic. That was, or at least the winter holiday. And then you're like, it's not just right. We want to tweak it just a little bit. And then like, oh shit, COVID. And then it's just been in hell for the last 2 years. So I wanted to tell you a story about when I saw Top Gun in the 3rd grade, but you know what? We'll have to save that for another time if we even remember it. My guy, I think we got enough here. We talked about Top Gun's going to be pretty cool. You're not looking forward to Jurassic World 3. Lightyear, probably going to do the best of the summer. Elvis, Thor 4, more of the same. Bullet Train, probably going to be fantastic. And then Samaritan looks like Hancock without Will Smith. But we shall see. We haven't even seen a trailer for that yet. So, okay. Folks, you can find Drew Angelman at the Box Office Party podcast. Linktree for all the deets on the social medias and where you can subscribe and like and tell all your friends about that fantastic show. Drew, is there anything else you want to plug?
If you want to see me talk about reality TV, you can go to youtube.com/Angelcake Entertainment. But other than that, I'm just happy to be here talking about the movies. I love talking about upcoming and then ragging on Doctor Strange. So thank you for having me. I felt like this was a therapy session in itself.
Dude, thanks for coming out, man. Thanks for changing your schedule on short notice too. I really appreciate that. I got these NBA playoffs coming up, and it's chaotic. But folks, you know I do a bunch of stuff here. We just had the season 2 finale of the Kick-Ass Movie Podcast. More to come in 2023, but to wet your beak before then, in July, we're going to do season 2 of Sweet Science Cinema, and we're adding a subcategory, Squared Circle Cinema. Me and Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Jameel Hemphill, we're going to be talking about not just some of the best boxing movies, but now some of the best pro wrestling movies. Going to be 12 episodes in total for the entire year. We're going to start off strong with Creed 2. The goal is to end strong with Creed 3, but TBD, because the card is always subject to change. Otherwise, you can find me on YouTube with friend of the family Mike Fish on the Waffle Box podcast. It's the best part of Wednesdays, and we talk about everything and nothing all at the same time. Anyways, for Drew Angelman and the Box Office Party, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the BosNet family.
You killed it with that description.